I'm not living there anymore. So don't bring all that nonsense over here. Just keep it there. Hey guys, it's Amanda. I've lived in England for well over a decade, so you could say that I have invaded the UK with my American habits and mannerisms.
It's true.
Some I may have converted to the British side without even realizing it, which brings me on to today's video, 10 ways America is invading the UK. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what will be on this list. Do you? Let me know in the comments. Also, if we aren't friends on Instagram, head over to @LadyRayUK and give me a follow. I'm getting a lot of messages at the minute, so it's hard for me to get back to every single one. But if you leave me a comment instead, there's a better chance of us having a chat, as I always check them first.
They do say Britain and America are two countries separated by the Atlantic Ocean.
Welcome to Watch Mojo UK, and today we're looking at ways American culture is showing up more and more in Great Britain.
One of the big UK retailers pushing out the boat this Black Friday is INSTA. It's owned by Walmart.
Before we begin, we publish
Didn't know
new
that.
content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Gender reveals.
I'm in the throes of planning my younger daughter Saskia's baby reveal. Please God, she's going to get the results on the 22nd, and on the 25th, we are having a gender reveal party.
Even in the US, the practice of holding a gender reveal party for an unborn child is relatively recent, emerging in the 21st century. But it's also been slowly
It's so
invading
fun.
the UK thanks to social media.
It has a secret chamber inside it, and when you cut into it, the Smarties, whether they're blue or pink, come cascading out of it.
Now, Brits throw the parties as well, generating needless fanfare and trying to cause a stir online for something very normal. They're also not particularly interesting affairs for anybody other than the expectant parents. In the US, devastating forest fires have been caused by these parties gone awry. Perhaps we should stop holding them over here in Blighty before similar things start happening.
It's fraught with peril, as we saw.
Yes. I mean, I think most people would just say all they really want is a healthy baby.
Pickup trucks. More and more on Britain's
Sorry, but he is an absolute downer.
Idiot!
Baby showers are a celebration of new life. And they are so much fun. It is usually just women who go, and in my experience, everyone has a great time. I'll happily admit that I have had one since moving here because my friends didn't want me to miss out. And it was so lovely. But people get really creative with their gender reveals. Some people use like truck exhaust, some people use water, cake, they pop balloons. So many different things.
streets, we're seeing huge pickup trucks appear. These are staples of American life, despite most people likely not needing such a huge truck. But now they're making their way over here. We're sure that many people in certain professions do need large trucks, but when you start seeing them around the city suburbs and clogging up the roads, you know it's becoming a problem. In the past, if you wanted an obnoxious 4x4 in Britain, you'd have to go for a classic Land Rover, not an absurd Ford pickup truck. But neither of these vehicles are particularly attainable for ordinary people, being class signifiers more than anything else. Blockbusters.
We've got known in Britain for making the small.
I would never want a pickup truck on these roads. Parking would be an absolute nightmare. The roads are just too narrow. Granted, the trucks are a lot smaller here than they are in the States, so that does help a bit.
Smaller films, smaller, recently we've been pulling out of that into the more train-spotting area, but the smaller films, the kind of, room with a view with a staircase and a pond type movie.
This has been a problem for decades, but in recent years, it seems like fewer and fewer British films are making an impact even here in the UK. As an English-speaking country, Hollywood absolutely dominates here, spreading American culture far beyond the States.
The government have got to make sure that we don't get flooded with American productions. That is a small concern.
We're not saying that American films are bad, far from it, but the ubiquity of big franchise tentpoles like the MCU could be threatening our unique culture. On the other hand, the UK now has generous tax credits for big productions.
So here's some blockbuster breaking news. Even more major movies could be coming here. Today, government plans to make it even cheaper to make films and TV shows in the UK were approved.
Barbie, for instance, was
Well, that's
filmed
not gonna help,
largely
is
at
it?
Leavesden Studios in Hertfordshire and had many Brits in its cast, but they were doing American accents, of course.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Barbie. Hi, Ken.
The Super Bowl.
There seems to also be some kind of sporting event going on. It's very noisy. There's a lot of people here.
Dude, it's the Super Bowl, man. We're in Glendale, Arizona.
America's got a habit of creating its own sports that very few, if any, other countries play. Chief among them is American football and the NFL. But the NFL has been creeping into British life in recent years, with many Brits actually following the sport.
Christmas, there's the birth of my firstborn child, and then there's the Super Bowl.
In the 2020s, British broadcasters like the BBC and ITV have actually started broadcasting the Super Bowl on TV here too, despite the fact that it begins at silly o'clock because of the time difference.
Quintessential America. It represents all that is fun and good and happy and competitive. We're competitive.
It's fair enough that we have plenty of American immigrants living here, but what Brits are staying up into the small hours to watch American football? Paying for university.
Those sparked by clashes in...
So I have seen the occasional NFL cap or jersey here, and I actually went to London to watch American football game, and we had such a good time. The atmosphere wasn't as loud or as crazy as what you'd experience in the US, but it was fun, and there was definitely the audience for it. So what's the big deal?
No?
London last week, there were students here from many parts of Britain with the same complaint.
For a long time, university was completely free in the UK. Plenty of countries in Europe still have free college too, including those in Scandinavia, Germany, and Ireland, but not here, thanks to Tony Blair introducing tuition fees back in 1998. They began small, but have been drastically increased over the years, with the coalition government raising them to £9,000 per annum.
The proposals were put forward to help persuade some Liberal Democrat MPs to vote for a threefold rise in tuition fees.
It stayed level at about this price ever since, but the government keeps making maintenance loan requirements more and more stringent. Again, this is akin to what the US does, though luckily uni here is still nowhere near as expensive. 1 year of out-of-state college is $26,000 on average.
Today, the government's attempts to sweeten the bitter pill of £9,000 tuition fees in England were again causing controversy.
Tipping.
When was the last time you purchased something?
So paying for university, yeah, sorry about that. It is horrible. But as I said, at least it's not as much as it is in the US. I mean, students actually go bankrupt trying to get an education, so you're starting off on the back foot already. It just does not make sense to me in the slightest.
And you weren't asked for a tip. Yeah, I can't remember either.
A tipping culture in the UK is growing, despite the fact that, in a country that's run properly, tipping shouldn't happen at all. People should be paid enough with their wage alone that they don't need to rely on tips. But in the US, this isn't the case. Minimum wage is lower in America for employees in tipping jobs, and it's expected that tipping makes up the difference for them not actually being paid enough.
Nowadays, there are people who argue 20% is kind of a cheap tip.
Despite this not being part of labour law in the UK, tipping is getting more and more prevalent. Of course, it's nice to show staff that you appreciate them and that they've done a good job, but not at the cost of them being paid below minimum wage.
Tipflation refers to not just that we're tipping more, but we're tipping everyone for everything.
Black Friday.
But this American tradition is taking...
The expectation to tip in the US is way higher, I think, than the UK. But then, again, that is because they aren't paid minimum wage. Like when I was a waitress, I can't remember what it was. Was it $2? It was under $3 an hour.
Oh, can you imagine?
And then obviously your tips were supposed to match that. I'm sure it's much higher now than $3, but it's crazy. I mean, the fact that customers are supposed to make up the difference to someone's wage is mental. So yes, it is creeping over here, but on a lesser scale, at least I like to think so anyway.
Hold in the UK. as Black Friday becomes a critical day in the British retail calendar.
Each year, on the day after Thanksgiving, all of America's retailers put on sales so deep that people end up fighting each other to get their hands on products they probably don't need. This storied tradition has emerged in the UK in the last decade, though, as well as many other European countries.
It was started here by the likes of Apple and Amazon. Now, retailers like Tesco, John Lewis, Boots, all have Black Friday deals.
The weekend of cutthroat bargains is global, and you'll see scenes in big supermarkets on this side of the pond just as chaotic as the ones overseas. As early as 2014, and coppers had to be brought in because of people getting into fistfights over cheap TVs. The same year, people trampled over others to get into a branch of Asda. When will the madness end? Nuclear weapons. We're getting more.
You know, I would like to say they're absolutely crazy for going out in that, but I used to do it. I used to get up 3, 4 a.m. and get ready and go to the shops to get the sales that I wanted. And people really were queuing like that. And they would trample over you to get what they wanted. Absolutely insane. Thankfully, a lot of it is online now, so there's no risk of injury. So there is that.
It was announced that America was planning on stationing its own nuclear weapons in the UK to deal with Russian aggression.
In recent years, the UK was on a path to reducing its arsenal, but has now reversed these plans.
This is frightening news to hear, especially for a younger generation who may not know that for a long time, America was storing nukes on British soil. Through NATO, many more European countries have nuclear weapons specifically belonging to America, even though the world would be better off getting rid of them entirely.
They have around 4,000 active warheads each. About 1,800 of these weapons are on high alert, which means they could be launched at short notice.
Our own nuclear weapons are almost unusable, however, following numerous failed Trident tests where the dummy missiles fell into the sea.
Well, this is a concerning incident, and it's embarrassing for the Ministry of Defence and for the UK government here.
NHS privatisation.
It's been so difficult, hearing patients complaining about the care they're receiving.
More seriousness, the NHS is continually being eroded by privatisation, with people often scaremongering about how Britain could one day have an American-style paid healthcare system. Of course, we do pay for the NHS through national insurance, but compared to the extortionate prices Americans pay, this is next to nothing. And it's not like you're denied care if you're not earning enough to contribute.
The reason why we're mostly going out on strike, I think, to talk to people is their concern for the quality of care that they're able to provide for the patients.
In 2022, Sunak even tried to pledge hitting people who missed GP appointments with £10 fines, something the public hated so much that he quickly U-turned on it. None of us want to experience healthcare the American way.
The government says it's committed to bringing down the 7 million strong waiting list. But health analysts warn that will not be possible unless this dispute is settled soon.
American English.
And we do pronounce things in a different way.
Honestly, you really don't want the American system. It's not the way to go. I will happily pay for the NHS through taxes. Honestly, until you experience the other side of it, you just don't realize how expensive, how something like a car accident or even just a broken leg could be literally life-changing to someone and cause them thousands of dollars of debt. Is the NHS Is the NHS perfect? No. Nothing is perfect, but I'd say it is pretty amazing. And I'm really thankful for it.
Like you say caterpillar, and we say caterpillar. And
Related to the prevalence of American media and how global the internet has made modern society, more and more Brits are using American words and phrases, including alternate spellings. We've got things like people saying math instead of maths, mom instead of mum or mam, and zebra instead of zebra.
you say aluminum, we say aluminium. You say centrifugal, we say centrifugal. You say leisure, we say leisure.
It's been noted that a generation of kids growing up watching American TV and YouTubers have further eroded our uniquely British ways of speaking.
So things like pavement. So they can't work with pavement, so they've changed it to sidewalk. Yeah. They needed more information. They needed to know where they were going to be walking so that they wouldn't get run over.
But this has been noted to go both ways, as stories emerged in 2019 of American toddlers speaking in English accents after watching too much Peppa Pig.
Peppa, George, have you seen Daddy Pig's glasses? He can't find them anywhere.
No, Mummy.
Let us know in the comments whether you think Britain is becoming too American.
Glasses for your eyes, they call them eyeglasses. They needed to know where to put them on their face.
Oh, he does make me laugh. Overall, I think that the list consisted of a couple things that didn't really matter, like baby showers or the NFL. I mean, is that making life-changing differences to British culture? I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. You tell me. But I think things like tipping, paying for university, privatizing the NHS, I can absolutely understand why you wouldn't want those things, because let's face it, no one wants to spend more money or be out of pocket, me included. I'm not living there anymore. So don't bring all that nonsense over here. Just keep it there. But what do you think? Do you think that the UK is becoming too American? You let me know in the comments. And as always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button if that's what you're into, and I'll see you in the next video.